Hey everybody, Mitch here from the Two Dads Podcast, and I just wanted to give you a quick update before we jump into the beginning of this episode about where the podcast is going and what's going down. I'm excited to announce that this week is the first week we've had a guest call in. This is not something that we were set up to do in the past, and it's our first time bringing somebody who wasn't in the studio with us. So we begin mixing a little bit of local and non-local personalities to bring some information, bring life lessons, and all these fun stories back to Mercer County. So as you listen to this, just understand this is our first time trying something outside of the box and bringing somebody from a different city into our podcast studio. And it's about a 30 to 40 minute episode, a little bit shorter, but we only had so much time with Jake Savicki, our upcoming guest, before he had to go live on television. Enjoy this little snapshot, a little shorter than other previous weeks, but we're just getting started. We've got Browns players, Buckeye players, and a lot of fun people coming up. So we hope you enjoy this little snapshot. And as always, thank you guys so much for the support from Bill and myself. Thank you for listening to the Two Dads Podcast. This episode of the Two Dads Podcast is powered by the Salina Moose Lodge 1473, the hometown hangout where the drinks are cold, the music's live, and the weekends never disappoint. And what better way to kick off your weekend with great music and even better company? On Thursday, October 9th, Steve Rosenbeck takes the stage from 7 to 10 p.m., and then on Saturday, October 11th, it's Party Punch, keeping the energy rolling from 7 to 11 p.m. And don't forget, every Saturday and Sunday, it's $12 buckets of beer for the big game. So grab your crew, claim your table, and make it a weekend. It's all happening at the Salina Moose Lodge 1473. If you want to be part of something special, something different, and something unique, join the Salina Moose Lodge today. Hello, and welcome to the Two Dads Podcast, episode number 34. I'm OG Pickle, your host. To my left, Slick Willie, Bill Ray. How you doing, buddy?
I have been better, and I just want to put on record, and we did not talk about the Reds on the podcast. Mitch and I didn't even want to text each other about it.
No, we didn't.
Until Ellie Day Cruz struck out last night with the bases loaded, and then we started texting and bitching at each other. So, just for reference, that one's not on us.
I've been a jinx for a long time. I've finally been able to wear this jersey outside of the Reds in the playoff picture or in the playoff contention or even in the playoffs for that short 2-second period that they were there against the Dodgers. I'm not a jinx. I'm not the jinx. It's got to be somebody else. There's somebody else out there doing jinx-like things, but I can't blame myself. What'd you say?
It's you.
It's probably me.
Actually, I was born in 91. The Reds won the World Series in 90, so my dad always joked and said that I was the jinx. You were born in the Reds and never won again after that.
I was born in Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie year, and then he ended up getting hurt when he went to the Reds. Yeah, actually, I don't like talking about this anymore.
Yeah. So the Packers, right?
Oh, gosh.
No, how was your weekend, though? You know, birthday the past weekend, and how was your weekend this previous weekend?
Pretty good, man. Not much. We had some. We did the food truck rally. We won the title belt. Shout out to everybody that came out and helped us vote. You know, we went to the food truck rally at the Shipyard. It was really fun this year. Last year was kind of rainy. There was a lot going on, and it was kind of cold, but the weather was perfect this time. And I tell you what, the Shipyard came to us and said, hey, we've got this title belt opportunity. Like, winner's going to get a title belt and all the, some gift cards and stuff. And I said, well, it's a competition. Now I really want to play ball. So it was a great time. Rich, me, and Berkey were out there. We won. I had heard. I didn't get a total quote or whatever the total votes were, but they said it was by like a landslide. So love that.
It's like the old SNL quote. The Chicago Bulls are going to win 402 to zip. But Michael Jordan will be held to under 200 points.
You look like you would fit really well with those guys.
I feel like I'm a cheap knockoff Chris Farley.
Yeah, actually not a bad, I mean, a little less like taking your shirt off stuff, but overall pretty good. So we did that, and then the next day we had, on Sunday, the Herd event. Yeah. That was amazing. I have to share a fact. Before we have our Jake Savicki come on, he's our guest today. We'll tell you a little bit about him in a second, but we went to the Herd, okay? Coming off of a win, we were feeling good. We went out there to do a CHD sort of community day for them. It was something that was put on by the Herd. Really fun, okay? Really impactful. Me, Tasha, and Berkey went out there. You were out there shaking hands and talking to people, which was really important to me.
Taking pictures with Paw Patrol, baby.
I saw. We'll get to that in a second. You know what was really cool, though? I have to take a second to pat ourselves on the back. Molly came up to me, and she said, Mitch, I have something to share with you. And I wouldn't say she's like too serious, but she's a lawyer. So she's got a, I would say lawyers in general have a certain style and demeanor. And I don't say serious, but they're just very direct and tactful. And, that's just their mode. She said, Mitch, over the course of last week's podcast where we talked about CHD and Cash, her son, and the Herd and building community with her and Megan and all the people that participate, she said, for the past 6 days after that podcast aired, Bill Ray, 6 new families have come into the fold for the herd. 1 new family each day. That means somebody who had no resources or wasn't sure what resources they had came outside of the community, came to the herd, and said, hey, I want to be a part of this. They said from outside the area, from inside the area, but people have now found a resource to lean on somebody, to talk to somebody about this, to share in the highs and the lows and find a support system. And I just think that is so impactful.
Yeah, it was incredible. When you texted me that, because I talked to Molly first, you were serving chicken, and then I was talking to Molly a little bit. She was saying how great the event was, and it was cool. We brought Riker out there. Kids were out there doing fishing games, winning Frisbees. There was pony rides, face painting, free Buckeye serve ice cream.
It was really well done, yeah.
And one thing the Buckeye soft serve ice cream guy has, I noticed, right?
Dreads, giant, long dreads.
He has those for sure, but he has helmet stickers on his truck, like the Buckeyes do, of each event he goes to with the year. It's really cool. I thought that was a cool little food truck nuance. I was like, man, that's really cool. We'd have like 2024 Mercer County Fair, and then like the herd event or whatever it is. So it was really cool, but it was special. I mean, it was a lot of kids out there. They had a great time, and to be able to kind of convert on that, on what we're doing to spread the message, because there was a couple cool text messages we had, or Spotify comments maybe,
sure,
about the one lady just talking about the platform that we're using to do good in the area. And I mean, that's really what this podcast has developed into, right? It went a lot away from the food truck and a lot into the community, which I think people are really starting to enjoy.
I think that's what we try to do week after week. If you listen to us and you listen to episode 1, I mean, it's the same thing we hear. I sit there and go, this is good, this is crap, this is good, this is crap. And really what we do is we study basically listener habits and how much you guys like and what you don't like. And one of the things we noticed was there was a big drop-off in the beginning of people listening to the podcast, and then it would jump when the guest got there, big time. Yep. And it was a weird retention rate. Retention rates are supposed to start at 100% and trickle down. If you're doing really good, it's 60% or higher, finish the podcast, right? It would go to like 30% and then 80. I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized that the part people really were appreciating was that sense of community. It's a sense of local information and local support and really living and breathing local. And that's what we leaned into. And the podcast is always going to change, Bill. And we always talk about that. There's so many guests that you can do locally. There's only so many stories, which still has a long way to go. But we often have to tailor these new kind of features, and that's one I want to talk to you about right now. Is we just signed up and brought in new software where we can bring people from all over the United States, the world, really.
We've had universe, like people on the moon,
the multiverse. Yeah, we'll call Elon,
not Neil Armstrong.
That's okay. You go to bars and ruin old people's days. No, but what's really cool is we'll tease it. We have some Browns players coming on now. We have some Buckeyes players coming on now. We have some big time gamers and CEOs, and it just gives us access. And today, you want to talk about what's going on here? We have really exciting news. This is our first episode non-remote. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it now. There is no guest in studio. This guest is going to remote in from his podcast, and maybe just talk a little bit about that, Bill Ray.
Yeah, so we have Jake Savicki coming on. He's a big Instagram baseball influencer. I've been following him for years, and to see his growth is really cool. And it was funny. So he put out a sticker launch, right? And it's just his patent phrase where he's just like, ball cranked. Like, he does these hilarious videos, and that's kind of what got him going viral. Now he has this great podcast. He's had Tariq Skubal on. He's had a lot of these big MLB guys on now, and he's growing at a rapid pace. And I was just like, love what you're doing. Need you on the podcast. And sure as hell, 10 minutes later, he messages back, love it. Let's schedule it.
I love that, by the way. Good for you. I think if there's a piece of advice that I've learned from you, now I've been confident,
right,
and I'm a salesman, and I try to do my thing and my Chauvintry and charisma and stuff. There is one thing that I will say about you. You will always shoot for the hip and shoot for the moon.
100%.
I mean, I cannot believe, I'm excited to have this guest on there. For those that don't know, stick around. We'll be talking baseball, but we're also going to be talking about how to grow the podcast, because this is a big podcast coming on here. So if you're a supporter of us, you're going to like this episode, because we're going to talk about baseball, and we'll talk about the heartache and the Reds and some things that may not be, if you're not a baseball fan, it may not be that relative, but trust me, we're going to tie it and land this plane and basically show and take information from Jake about how we grow the Two Dads podcast. So in turn, it's going to be valuable for everybody. Anybody that participates and listens week to week, we're going to get some advice from Jake. We're going to get some encouragement from Jake, learn what he did, what we didn't do, but really, it's the next evolution for the podcast. So if you're listening, this is the next evolution of the podcast. We're always trying to continually grow. We're always trying to change. Did I think it would be here in 34 episodes, Bill Ray? No. Well, we're shooting from the hip, baby, and we're shooting for the moon.
There's one thing you'll learn. It's how I got a hot wife. Just keep shooting your shot. Eventually, they'll respond.
So, on that note, tonight on the show, we have Jake Savicki. If you're curious who he is, he's a creator, a storyteller, and a baseball voice who has carved out his own lane in the game. From the spark of picking up a camera and sharing his first pieces of content to building a loyal following on social media to sitting down with MLB stars and rising prospects on his podcast, Hold My Ball and Change the Game Baseball, Jake has become one of the most recognizable names in modern baseball media. He's built a persona, crafted a brand, and created a style that mixes humor, insight, and heart. And tonight, we're going to pull back the curtain on how that all happened. So without further ado, let's welcome Jake Savicki. Hey, Jake, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing a lot better than I was 20 seconds ago. That made me feel like nice right there.
You know what? If there's anything that we can do well at start the podcast, I've got a writing degree. So I mean, it all goes downhill from here, but first of all, we appreciate you taking the time to sit. We're just, again, Bill said it before the podcast, we're just two guys in the garage. We're trying to make it, we share a lot of things local. We do a lot of things as dads. I mean, you can relate to that. We'll jump in that a little bit. But thank you for coming on. It means a lot to us to even have a shot to talk to somebody like you. So thank you for taking the time. I know we had some reschedules, but how are you doing today? How are things on your end? Where are you at? For people that are watching at home and listening as well, where are you at right now currently?
I am in my office, so I just got this office down street from my house. It's where I run a clothing brand out of and where I do all my social media stuff. It's been real nice for me to have a little space to go and do what I got to do. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is, people like meet me out in public, usually just at baseball games where I get recognized, and they're like, "Can we get a quick picture? Don't want to bother you." I'm like, "Dude, I'm just as regular as the next guy. This makes me feel cool." Like, so I these podcasts and just talking to people, a couple dads, in the garage. I'm just some dude sitting in an office. Like I'm as regular as it gets, and I enjoy this stuff. So I'm good.
I think that's why we like you, man. I think that's why you'd spoken. Bill, why don't you speak to this? Because you were the one that reached out to Jake, and we had commented so well that you just kind of shoot your shot and landed this. But
yeah, I think, I've followed you for a couple years now, just kind of seen you grow, and it's kind of been cool. And then, you put out that, I've seen your apparel brand for a while, right? And, these are the good old days is a good hat that I love to see. And just some of that stuff, I think it resonates with being dads, right? Like, live in the moment, be present, and really be there for the people that matter. And that's kind of what the Two Dads brand is, right? It's in the name. So for Jake, you probably didn't know, we have a food truck that we started, and it's the best chicken and fries that you'll ever try. So when you come to opening day for the Reds in 2026, as I politely invited you officially, really excited to have you on. And first off, I got to address the elephant in the room. We're in Ohio State. The Dodger hat, man. I'm only going to ask you one question about it.
Listen, there are teams that are here to win the World Series, and there are teams that are here to celebrate getting into the playoffs, and that's just what it was this year. You guys had a good run. You squeaked in there. I said this the other day. I'm like, what a fucking amazing thing. Comes down to game 162. Who wants it, the Mets or the Reds? And neither of them did. They didn't win. Neither team. Just like, nah, fuck it. Reds squeak in. I'm saying this because I think it was hilarious. My initial bracket to win the World Series was the Dodgers beating the Guardians because I was riding the Cleveland, just give me a hot team. And I also, with an audience, I'm okay with being wrong, but if I make a prediction like that and it's bold and it ends up working out, everyone's like, this guy's a freaking genius. So I'm good with that trade-off. But somebody said this, and I'm probably similar to the Reds. They were like, Cleveland's offense is just J-Ram in a trench coat with a bunch of raccoons underneath of it. I'm like, that is hilarious. A great way to, like, who is everybody else in the lineup? I thought it was great, and I think the Reds weren't too much different. I did meet Hunter Green in spring training. Good dude. Watched him actually pitch in high school. He's a friggin' animal. So
yeah, I saw you. So my question with that was, though, what's your thought on the expanded playoffs? I don't know how I feel about it because I have two takes, right? It's kind of like that you get some teams in there that don't deserve it, maybe. In the Reds' case, I would say they probably didn't deserve it. 4 or 5 games over 500. Like, does that really deserve a playoff spot that's so highly coveted? But then on the flip side, you have the Tigers who beat the Guardians today, right? So they flipped the script a little bit. And what I'm really curious is what are your thoughts on the two teams with the buys? I see the Brewers and those guys doing inter-squad games, and I wonder if that can cool a hot team off, and you could see a wild card team that gets hot right at the right time to really upset that. So I see pros and cons to both of it. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I liked when it used to be the wild card game was one game right after the season, and then you fly that night to go play whoever actually made the playoffs the next day. That's what I like. I mean, I get it. If I'm on a team playing, I probably don't want a one game and done because it's like anything can happen. And I think in even a 3 game, the better team usually will come out. But I just liked as a fan the suspense of like 162 straight games, and it comes down to just one. You or the other guys. Everybody's probably got their ace. Everybody's got all their dudes ready to roll for one game. I like that. I don't like the break for the teams that are not playing. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's statistically. I looked it up about a month ago. We were on a podcast talking about it. The wild card team has a better record in the divisional series than the teams that have the bye. So you kind of get that momentum. That you don't know if you're going to make it the playoffs or not, and all of a sudden you do. And now it's like we're on borrowed time. We got nothing to lose. Those teams are dangerous. And in baseball, you could have the best roster. You could pay $350 million and not make it like the Mets. You could pay $350 million like the Dodgers and be hurt all season, and your bullpen sucks. Like, who knows? So I just don't like the break. If I was playing, even now, if I had an option, hey, if I knew I was going to make it to the NLCS and they gave me an option, hey, you're going to make it there either way. Do you want to play in the wild card and make it to the NLCS, or do you want to take the bye? I'd say, give me the wild card. That means I'm probably getting more games, more momentum, more ABs. I like it.
Yeah, I
don't like the break.
I think it'd be good for the fans too, right? I think that's part of it, right? For MLB, we get more games. You expand that to 3, you get more playoff series. There's more revenue that comes from that. But one thing, speaking about bad bullpens, let's talk about big bullpens. I watched the game yesterday. Mason Miller, man, incredible. I've never seen anything like that. And we had Craig Stammen on the podcast, used to pitch for the Padres, and he still consults for the Padres. Comes down to spring training, and he heads out there a few series, works with young guys, developing and stuff. Do you think 104 is the limit, or do you think it goes to 105 in a year and then 106 in a couple years, and it just keeps growing? Like, I know the human body has a limitation at some point. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think it's dangerous? You've coached high school baseball, right? So you see the flaws in where that is, and Tommy John's at an all-time record high. So I think it correlates, in my opinion. But if you asked me if I could throw 106 and be in the bigs for 2 years and get a big contract, I'd tell you, sign me up right now, blow my arm out.
I said that back in the day. I said, man, shit, I wish somebody when I was in junior college was told me to take some roids. I might go get paid. I would have done it, cut off 5 years of my life when I'm 90. Who knows? But it's a funny point you make. To me, Mason Miller is a freak. Aroldis Chapman is a freak. Aroldis is probably more of a freak than Chapman because I interviewed Mason Miller like a year ago, and it's just such an interesting story. The guy had diabetes and found out finally he couldn't put weight on or couldn't lose weight. I don't know, whatever it was. And then he found that out and became healthier. And that was like the start of his whole thing. Did you guys know that? Yeah. Like literally you Google what Mason Miller diabetes after this conversation. And it's literally what he was like in D3 throwing like 88. And then he found out that he had, I think, diabetes, and figured out, okay, how can I be healthier this way? And just started turned him into an animal. So I actually asked him that. I'm like, what? So I see all these kids I coach, they're med balls, they're throwing weighted balls, they're long tossing, they're doing pull downs in the net, trying to get velo. I'm like, so would you just suggest they get diabetes? And he was like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, my bad, dude. But
like maybe I would have been a little bit better pitcher in college if I would have went ahead and just got diagnosed with diabetes.
Yeah, see, so I think I don't know that we're gonna see anytime soon. The 106, the 105, to me, velo is like, yes, you can push your body as much as possible and get everything out of it, but I think 105 is like the max a Mason Miller has. I think if I were to put in as much work as possible, maybe 95 was my max. No matter what I did, that's what my body's going to do. That's how high I can hit on the radar gun. I think everybody has a limit, and the human. If we're just seeing it now, I don't see it all of a sudden go 110, 107, 108. if a guy like Chapman is throwing 104 or 5, what's the guy that's going to throw 107 going to look like? Chapman's huge, he's strong, whippy. What do you have to look like to throw 107? So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like I just think everybody has a ceiling. And, when you're throwing 88 because you're not doing the right things to max your velo out, and then you do all those right things, and it's like I went from 88 to 94. It's like, yeah, that was your max. You always had 94 in you. You just didn't know how to access it.
So let me ask you this, Jake. For those who don't know yet, I think a lot of people will be watching this and also in our constituents and wonder who you are. Can you tell us, like, who is Jake Savicki and what are you building right now? Like, what are you after? Why should people care to listen to it? Not in an invasive way or a mean way, but just like, what should people? Who are you and what do you do?
Actually, somebody just commented on my stuff the other day. Said, "I hope this guy played pro ball with the way he's talking." And I was like, "What if I told you I played junior college baseball, and then after that, there is no after that?" Just. He's like, what the fuck? But so I went to Shasta College, played baseball there, had a lot going on in my life, actually. This is the dad podcast where dads will be real with each other. When I was 19, my brother passed away, and I handled it real bad, just from a life perspective. And I said, I got to do something better than this. This is not a good path. So I didn't like school, but I liked sports. And so let me get back to baseball. A couple different local junior college, whatever. Went to a summer ball league in Idaho. The coach there was, and this was after like a year and a half of not playing at all. The coach there was he's the hitting coach at Shasta College up north in California. We hit it off. Good dude. I ended up going up to that school with him a couple years. Got a full ride out of there to D2 in New Mexico Highlands. Got home, quick physical before I left, and I had a heart condition that small, but the school in New Mexico is one of the highest elevations in the country. And the doctor's like, you can't go out there and train. It's like kind of like Kenley Jansen doesn't go to Colorado, and some football player that doesn't go to Denver when they play. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I stayed home. Wasn't going to do that to my mom after losing a son, and then I'm going to go stress her out. So in the meantime, started just working in a batting cage. That turned into coaching, and I'm a big believer that like everything was always going to happen, not in a non-control way, but like me and you two guys 20 years ago, you said you're 33. When you were 13 and I was, what would that put me at, 18, 19? Like we were always going to be right here, right now, always, no matter what. You could be like, well, no, if I would have taken a left back there, well, you were never going to take a left. You were always going to take a right. It's in your DNA. That's what you're always going to do. So I look at where I'm at. I had no business being, and then I turned into the head coach at Carlsbad High School to wrap up the playing to transfer to coaching. I was I know like 40 people applied for the job. I guarantee my resume was probably the lowest on the totem pole. And I ended up getting the job, and it was amazing, and I loved it, and it brought out a whole different side of the game for me because I was this like super athlete when I played, which is nice, but for baseball, it's a skilled sport, and I never really, learned the game the way I should. I didn't learn the technical side of it. So for me as a coach, I brought in really good infield coaches, outfield coaches, pitching coaches, so I could work on like the mental game that I missed, right? Nobody taught me this. Nobody taught me that. I had speed, but it cost me more than it helped me because I didn't know how to use it. So that for me was, a 10-year stretch, 9 years at high school, overall probably 13 years of travel ball in high school. My 7 years as the head guy at Carlsbad, we had, I think, 79 kids that went on to play college baseball after, which is wild. It's 10, 11 kids a year. And I think Thomas Sajaci, shortstop for the Cardinals, or infielder for the Cardinals, played 75% of the year this year, broke into the bigs last year as a 22-year-old. Drew Summers broke into the bigs this year with Detroit as a pitcher. So, 3-4 kids floating around the minor leagues. And I don't say that like I did that. I was the high school coach just there, but I've seen it. I've seen what those guys do compared to guys that go to college and play 4 years and they're done. I've seen what those college guys do that is different than the guys that go to college for half a semester and go, I don't like this, I'm out. I've seen what those guys that go to college for a semester and say I'm out do different than the guys that play high school and never play after. So for me, the process, I've seen it from so many different sides. The parents, I've watched 15 years of parents dealing with their kids in a sport, and it helped me tremendously. My daughter's 9, and I coach her way better than I ever would have if I didn't have that job for 15 years and see the effects of a parent that does it wrong and a parent that does it right. So I speak on things I've been through and seen firsthand and done, and and I love the game. So to me, and that's the part I enjoy about having this platform. I could coach kids in person, and that's great. And I get 20 kids on the varsity team and affect them for 6 months and their families. But with this platform, the amount of DMs and stuff I get, questions that I can answer real quick, and somebody's like, damn, that helps so much, thanks. I don't actually give a shit if you listen to me or not. If you listen to me, I appreciate it and I love you and I like you. If you don't, it's cool.
Yeah, no, you sound, you and I personally have a lot in common there. You talked about losing your brother. I had a scholarship to play baseball, NAIA here in Ohio, and lost my dad at 18 my senior year, had a freshman brother. Mom wasn't around as much growing up. And I think you talking about that, and I talk about that on the podcast. Mitch, had went through a divorce, and we talk about that. I think the whole realm behind it of being dads and being honest on these platforms and, being vulnerable, right? Like those things for some people is not easy to talk about. And we talk about it openly because we know, I probably went through similar things that you went through with your brother, right? People definitely go through divorce. Everybody experiences death at different times of their life. And being able to talk about that openly and how you can cope with it and what you can do. And, people reach out to us in our DMs, like you said, and saying like, hey man, like I'm really struggling with this. What would be your advice? I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not trained in that, but I am a human being and I do care about people. So I can talk to you one-on-one and really, give you some advice and words of wisdom, kind of like you did. So really cool thing for you to share that. So I appreciate that. But starting this, you go out there and you say you wanted to find a different lane with that. So what was really the spark for you that like really started you saying like, I'm going to create content around baseball? Because I'm sure it wasn't just you clipping, some guy in a batting cage throwing 92, and just geniusly, cranked. That couldn't have been the platform for it, right? So what was what was that spark for you?
The plan was having, I think the reason I'm successful from a, let's call it content standpoint, followers, however people want to view that, is I never planned on doing it. This was maybe since COVID. So what is it, 5-year journey for me? And I was a dad. I was a high school coach. I owned a hitting facility here in Carlsbad. I didn't plan on doing this. COVID rolled around. My wife and I downloaded TikTok just for fun. Like, hey, we're all sitting at home. Everybody's all into it. Let's watch some videos, whatever. And I made a video that you've probably seen it. You've probably seen the video and you might not even know it's me. I'm playing video games. My wife walks up, like point of view camera, turns the video game off, and I take that. I'm like, why? And she's like, this is all you do. And I'm like, it's all I have. And that was the end of it. And I had probably 200 followers on Instagram, my friends, people I actually knew, 3 followers on TikTok because we just downloaded it. And within like 30 minutes of posting that, it was on Barstool's Twitter, and then it just blew up. I would always joke, I'd say, there's probably some lady out there on YouTube that peels potatoes and then taste tests them and makes $1 million because people like watching her peel and taste test potatoes. Sure enough, 3 years later, I get texts from my guys. They're like, hey coach, remember the potato lady? Did you think you'd be famous for saying ball? I'm like, point proven, guys. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Where does the next phase come where you start to say like, let me just continue making short form content and develop this Savicki character?
The love language is just like talking shit. That's really what it is. It's like, it is what it is. So if you look at my content and you don't know baseball, you're like, this guy is an asshole. If you do know baseball, you're like, this guy checks out and he makes sense. He's funny. And I just that's my personality anyways. You guys have watched my content. I would like to believe that after 30 minutes of us talking, you're like, that's the same dude we watch on Instagram and TikTok. It's the same dude. So that to me is like, you as a human being are what you are. So I did the ball video. Genuinely, I do a lot of like petty stuff. The ball video, first one I ever did was this account that I just didn't like because it's like, these 16-year-olds throw 94. They all throw over 90. Click the link in my bio to throw harder. And I'm like, I said, all right, I'm going to make a video shitting on this guy. But first, let me make sure I'm not going to do it if it's not correct. So I go and I actually bought this guy's program to throw harder because it was $9. And I immediately got an email with my whole plan. I'm like, all right, this is just cookie cutter. He doesn't know if I'm 5'10", 240 pounds, or if I'm 6'7", 190. He knows nothing about me. So he's just selling this garbage to people, and it pissed me off. So I made the video. There's like 10 kids throwing pitches at 90 plus, and I just went ball, ball, ball. And it just kind of turned into the like, who gives a fuck if you can't pitch? And I had no idea that there was a entire world of guys like me that watched, Maddox and DeSmoltz going, they loved it because they're like, about time, Velo's freaking killing the game. Nobody pitches anymore. And I'm like, damn, this is crazy. So I did the ball thing for forever. And then somebody's like, does this guy never calls strikes or what? Is this just, everything's a ball? Do you ever, why don't you show somebody throw? Yeah. So they're like, why don't you throw somebody throwing a strike one time? I'm like, okay. So I did, and it's zoomed in, and it just was like cranked. And the guy's like, oh, fuck. So it's either a ball or you're hammering it? I'm like, yeah, dude. That's exactly what it is. So just, I trust my brain. I think about things, I do it, and I go, there's an audience that will like this. And I think for me I know a lot of creators that put in tons of time, the editing, the scripting videos, thinking about it. And I give the highest praise to those guys because we get together and they're like, well, what do you do if like a video doesn't perform well? How does it affect you? I'm like, if you see a video of mine that's like 30 seconds long, there's a real good chance from like when it pops into my brain to when it gets onto the feed. If it's a 30-second video, there's a good chance from inception to post, it took me about a minute and 30 seconds. So if it doesn't do well, I'm like, nah, oh well, see you later. Doesn't matter. I didn't waste my time. So that's been a big piece of me being able to do content is the minimal production and time I put into everything. If it blows up, great. If it doesn't, nothing lost on my end.
So, what kind of pushed you into, taking that experience of just social media, right? Of just, commenting on, reels and things like that to evolving it into a podcast that you do now that, I don't watch every episode, but I kind of look at the names of them, right? But, to land like Scooball, like in some of these big names that you're getting, like I'm not knocking Craig Stammen, man. If you're listening, I apologize. But, Scooball is the guy right now, right? Like he is arguably the best pitcher in baseball. And just crapped on the Guardians. Sorry, all our Ohio fans. You're out of the playoffs too now, so eat it. How do you land guys like that? Is it your connections through some of your other players, or how do you get that?
Yeah, that's Scooball. I'll tell you, I did that with Scooball at the very beginning of last year, which he was good, but not this Scooball that we know. And he was like, "Oh man, cool, yeah, send it over." So I did. Sent him some stuff, and he was like, love it, thanks, man. And then he kind of blew up. So I say lucky in a sense that I genuinely, the timing of it wasn't like 3 months later where everybody's hitting him up because he's the best pitcher in baseball. Like I got a little bit of a communication with him before that, and then we just kind of went, he dealt, I think at one point, mid to late season. He had like 6 starts left in the year, and he threw an outing that was dominant, and I DM'd him. I'm like, I said, you're a fucking dog. That's all I said. And he was like, appreciate it. And then he dominated again the next week. And I said, you're a fucking dog. I was like, sorry, I'm superstitious. He's like, me too. Appreciate it. So we did that for like 6 straight outings where he would dominate. Like our whole text thread was just, you're a fucking dog. Appreciate it. You're a fucking dog. Appreciate it. They're like 6 days apart. So that relationship was like that. And then when the season ended, I'm like, hey man, you're awesome. I do this podcast. Would love to have you on, make it easy on you, your time, whenever you want. And he was super cool. He's like, yeah, dude, absolutely. So we talked to him right after season. And then we talked to him again 4 months later after he was the Triple Crown guy. And I'm just like, damn, it's like so crazy to see this. But I really do. I just reach out to a lot of these guys and have met them, at events here and there. But for the most part, I just kind of reach out and they're cool. They're just dudes. A lot of them are just dudes. Mason Miller was like that. Reached out to him and he was like, yeah, man, cool. And jumped on with us. We had, obviously Scooball's like even when I don't look at it like, yeah, it was regular dudes. Like I tell them, I'm like, I have no business sitting here with the fucking Cy Young, Triple Crown, baddest dude on the mound in baseball. Like this is crazy to me. So I guess the answer is that simple. Just reach out and go, what's up? Kind of, you guys did it to me. I mean, the size of the podcast doesn't matter. You reached out to me. I run my own socials. So I saw it and said, yeah, fucking let's do it. Sounds fun.
Well, thank you for taking the time. On the flip side, I would be remiss if I didn't have you on here to ask you some of like, we're trying to learn. We're trying to grow. This podcast is new for both of us. We're 34 episodes in, which is 34 weeks, which is still good. But we just talked about before you came on about how much we've changed over the course of the past 34 weeks. What did week 1 look like for you compared to where you are now? And do you have any advice for us? Because I'm actually having you on here. I'm less of a fanboy. I'm more like, dude, this guy's got podcast. I know you're sort of self-deprecating and saying, I don't really care, but you do want to get better. I mean, you don't maybe care as much about analytics and stuff, but you always want to put a good product out there. Any advice for us if you compare week 1 of your career to now, however many episodes you are in?
I don't think I've ever watched a single or listened to a single one of my podcasts. I stay me as much as I possibly can, and I think the more I talk to these guys, I'm like, yeah, my shit's good. I know what I'm talking about, and I'll throw something out to a big leaguer and be like, it's got to feel like this, right? And they're like, that's exactly how it feels. I'm like, okay, like I got an idea, whatever. So I think it's just trust in yourself, trust in your vision. And I listened to the audience and I rode the viral waves of myself, not like, oh, this is a trending song, let me make the video. Like when I did the ball video and it blew up, I did a ball video the next day and then I did it again and then again. And now I'm 3 years later. Like, you think I like just saying ball every day? No. Do you think I like having 1 million followers because it provides a life for my family? Yeah. So I think you follow the waves when it's within your own content that you created, right? I don't think you guys and me, we're not all going to go see some dancing trend and jump on it and go, hope this blows up. Because even if it did, we wouldn't want to do that.
I wouldn't pay to pass me, but yeah,
Yeah. So I think that my advice would be with the podcasting, do you find the right audience, or the right audience will find you, and listen to them also. You guys do an episode where you talk about, your father passing away, and that episode does really well, and you talk about divorce and that episode does really well. Hey, we love sports. We're 2 dads. Like, let's talk about parenting. Let's talk about divorce. Let's talk about all the stuff that matters. And if people are into it, I think that's how the world tells you. I say this, like when you find out what you're really supposed to be doing, like feels like you take 1 step forward and then like the universe takes another 2 steps for you. Like, hey, don't worry about the next 2 steps. We got it for you. We're going to put this guy on your podcast. We're going to blow this one video up. And now the 3rd step or the 4th step is up to you again. Take that next step. And now this train will keep moving. As long as you do, we'll keep helping you. Because I've seen it in my own life. You feel like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, gives you a couple steps for every one you take.
Yeah, no, so you don't listen to the podcast yet, obviously. You probably will after this.
He's coming, it's a big push. We're going to send him the DVD collection and all kinds of stuff. It's coming his way.
I'll listen to all of them except this episode.
Of course, we knew that already, though.
I just wanted to go on record letting you guys know I appreciate this. I like this, and I'd love to come back on and finish this conversation so we don't get too stressed.
I'll wrap around. I'll message you after this, and then we'll get going. But we always we'll end part 1 with the game show 1. We always do a game show at the end, and I'm not going to steal Mitch's thunder because this is Mitch's thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I love it.
All right, you guys, let's turn this up for the end of part 1 with Jake. We'll have him back on. Okay, this is the Two Dads game show. Now, normally we do some fun stuff, okay? This one's going to be pretty straightforward. This is going to be a playoff predictions lightning round, okay? We're going to get you on the record, Jake. Our lawyers make us ask, are you good for this? Do you agree to the terms and conditions to sign up for the emails and et cetera?
I do.
Okay, that's good. And Bill, you're going to be playing against him. We're going to keep note of this, okay? We're going to take notes. We're going to do a quick playoff postseason picture where we'll stay in touch with you. We'll probably get into part 2. Bill versus you. We'll try to tally up who gets more points. But here we go. I'm going to name a team. You guys just give me the team that you think will advance, and then we will go to the final bracket of who we think win the World Series. Does that sound good? Pretty straightforward?
Yes, sir.
It does.
All right. We've got Dodgers, Phillies.
Give me Schwarber, baby.
Dodgers.
Give me the Phillies.
Okay, we got Dodgers there, okay. And you said who?
I'm taking the Phillies.
Okay,
I'm
we
a
got the
big
Phillies
Schwarber
for
guy.
Bill and the Dodgers for Dodger Boy over here. All right, Padres, Cubs.
I don't know what the score is.
Yeah, I don't know what the score is at the moment. So
yeah, I know we're recording this during the game, but I like the Padres. I love Jackson Merrill.
I'll take the Cubs, but
Okay.
it kind of feels like cheating.
all right, tonight, Boston, New York. I know you got to get there for the live stream here shortly. Boston or New York? Who are you taking?
I'm taking Boston. I am taking Boston.
Okay.
I'm going to go on record here, and I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to be the guy before Jake beats me to it. The Red Sox are kind of a sneaky hot team right now. They're my pick to win it all.
Detroit versus Mariners.
I think the Mariners choke. I think Detroit, it's their time to get there.
I'm going Detroit too.
I'm going Phillies, Red Sox, finals. God, I don't want to see Philadelphia burn if they lose, but I'm taking the Red Sox in 6.
And Jake, over to you.
I'm taking Dodgers over Boston in 6 also.
All right. Well, that's part 1 with Jake Savicki. We'll have you back, buddy. This was awesome. Thank you for taking the time. Have fun tonight while you go on the big stage. But thank you for coming on the Two Dads podcast, brother. We hope you have a fantastic time. Bill, Ray, anything to say before we go?
Ball. Crank. Ball. Melted. I'm looking forward to next week, boys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you being
Jake.
on the show.